Hello and welcome to another episode of FireDEV, a fireside chat with great people in the industry. And today I have Oleksandr Popovych with me. Thank you for joining us, Oleksandr.
Thanks a lot. Really excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Good stuff. And so, first of all, just want to ask, how you doing? How has your week been so far?
I'm doing pretty good. The first months of this year happened to be much busier than expected. So I guess it might be a smooth transition. I'm working in an outsource studio that makes game assets. So there is much more movement, I guess, in game industry than I expected. So I'm quite busy. But I'm quite fine and happy to discuss some fun stuff with you.
Okay, good stuff. And what's it like working, in Kiev for a Ukrainian company whilst, this war is going on?
Well, it's definitely very unique. I happened to think about this for a while last year, since when I was preparing the report for like how we've did the 2022 year in our studio. I was very amazed by the fact that even though so many of our specialists are in Ukraine and going through a lot of tough situations, we happen to grow quite a lot in roommate studio, and it definitely shows how no matter what difficulties come around to Ukrainians specifically, we find many ways to go through it. And naturally, the most difficult part is the power outages, well, other than just violence. And a lot of our artists were looking for ways to have enough power to get like to meet all of the deadlines that we promised. So it was quite challenging because we tried to find like how do they call them, like batteries, the power generators. We were looking for appropriate co-working places where we might have generators. Definitely, like each specialist tried to do their best just by themselves to find an appropriate place. But our studio also helped a lot with some like additional compensations and such. So it was definitely very challenging, and it is quite like we definitely are proud of the fact that even though we had these problems, we end like we are in such a unique situation in I guess in the whole world with an IT company going through this. We did quite well, and we definitely hope this year would be a little easier. And I think just the stuff that we've gone through, we passed the stress test, and this year should be even more exciting about it.
Okay. So, can you compare your life now to just before the war? Just before the war, how has it changed?
Um, So, just the fact, since the last February 2022, naturally the alarms and sirens for air raids were just a part of our routine, and it is very varied on how different people approach this, because many people try to get into shelters as soon as possible every time, but many people just got used to it and were just in the mood of like, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, not big deal, it's just my fate or something. So it's just it is changed our lives in a way that the horrors that we are going through every day just got part kind of started to be a part of our life, and we are trying to get used to it. Definitely not fun, and we hope to come back to a peaceful time. But I think the unity of just our nation and the friends abroad really helped us to go through it. And I guess as for some specific things, uh, even though we had so many problems, I think it got us much more motivated overall, and every Ukrainian seemed to feel like they're a part of something very big and special and important. So I wish to, and I'm kind of thinking sometimes that I wish to come back to, more peaceful times, the easier times, to I guess it's not very good exchange when you are having so many problems, but you have additional motivations and unity, and culture also prospers on that. But it definitely doesn't sound worth it. It's just something we have to go through, and the life, it's not like life completely changed. It just we need to do the same, but twice as hard, I guess.
Okay. So when it all started in February last year, you was at GSC. GSC had a relocation program for its employees. I got two questions. Did Room 8 have anything similar, and why did you choose not to relocate? Because you was at GSC, which I know definitely had a relocation program.
So, to be honest, it might be your data a little is different actually from the actual stuff. I did relocate with JC, and I am actually living in Warsaw right now.
Okay.
I wish definitely, like every month, I'm thinking I wish to come back to Ukraine, but there are quite a bunch of reasons not to. And one of the biggest one is, of course, power outages. And if I'm not being as effective as I can be in my job, it's definitely not good for business and just for overall economics of Ukraine. But roommate definitely had something very similar. We basically, if JC tried to actually, the approaches are very similar. Basically, we are just very centered on one what each specific person wants, and many of people in roommate in GSC as well has decided to go to army and defend our nation. And we left them with kind of the same salary and stuff, and they still are in our company officially. But other than that, we were quite close to every person in their decisions, and whoever decided to stay, mainly like there are many reasons that there might be, but we definitely stayed on their side and provided them with everything we can, as well as we provided the people who decided to relocate with everything we could financially. And our roommate in GSC, I believe, as well, also helps a lot on in legal department, trying to set up the appropriate business entities in the country, so it would be more comfortable to go through it. But just the fact of living in a different country and so far from homeland definitely kind of is pressure, I guess, emotionally. I hope it sounds reasonable to tell that emotionally it is very similar, just to not feel at home as much as feel danger where you are in home. So it's kind of, no matter where you are, Ukrainians are have a lot of emotional troubles and stress to go through. But our companies, many IT companies, including JC and Roommate, are really helpful and understanding of all of our decisions.
Okay, so you relocated with GSC. Did you relocate? When did you relocate? Because obviously it all went down in February. You was at GSC till April. When did you relocate with GSC?
So there were like a lot of rumors on like before the war started, and our company recommended to get their help with the relocation, with the buses and such, to go across the border right before the war started, trying to make sure the mails specifically goes through it, because it would be much difficult after the war has started. So we relocated in like about the end of February, right before the war. And after then, it wasn't like everyone like had something specific in mind. I mean, it's not like everyone was sure that, hey, here's the plan, we're gonna follow it, and that it's gonna be a success. Um, all of the companies were trying to find an appropriate way to make sure the business is still profitable, and it is possible to balance out the human and business aspect of this stuff. But it just so happens that the terms of work definitely changed in JCE, and considering my family situation, I understood that it would be more appropriate to find another place to work. Although I'm very grateful to JC for helping out with relocation, and I'm really excited to see Stalker 2 come out whenever possible. And I'm still quite in touch with the team. They're doing awesome job, and I'm really excited about them. And it's kind of a shame because it is a lot of very useful experience to work in the outsourced company that I'm doing in right now. But I think many people who would may also talk a little on their experience with outsourced companies. It is natural to for us to kind of think at some point that working together on someone, or I mean some specific product, is definitely much more exciting and meaningful compared to working on in outsourced companies. So I think about this sometimes, but roommate provides amazing experience that I hope to use in the future for even bigger things. And I'm really excited about Stalker 2. Really hope to play it at some time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't wait for Stalker 2 as well. I
Right.
remember playing the first three games. So yeah, you worked at GSC. What did you specifically do there on Stalker 2?
So I was project manager, and I was in charge in organizing all art production. So any 3D modeling of characters or environments. So I was planning the agile system that we had over there. The what other thing I can say about it? Well, basically, it was all about trying to make sure that the work is as effective as possible, and make sure to balance out the priorities comparing on the pipeline, considering that all of the assets that we produce are gonna be used in a variety of ways. There were a lot of very interesting developments in just how company got used to working over there. So it was quite a learning experience, both for me and many of our colleagues in GSC. But there were a lot of progress in 2021 when I was working there, and I believe that it contributed to even more progress that I see from last year. So the latest trailer, I believe, had so many gameplay sections in Stalker 2, and it really was quite a happy moment for me, because a lot of stuff that I've seen in the trailer, I just saw that they finally came together. All of the stuff that I contributed to, and my colleagues as well. So yeah, basic project management. That's that was the main field of work for me there.
Okay, and so you work at Room 8 now. What do you do at Room 8, and how does that differ to the work you did at GSC?
So in Roommate, I'm currently subdivision director for 3D characters subdivision. So basically, I have a big team of very skilled 3D character artists, and I'm sort of a business partner for the studios that we work with, and I basically prioritize the plans with our clients to make sure they are effective both for the studio and for the client. Select the projects that we are working on, and sort of trying to basically a lot of stuff that I'm involved in are also done by many of my colleagues. So, for example, there are a lot of projects, but I'm not managing all of them. There are art producers that, which are basically project managers that manage the projects themselves. They also help out with estimating new orders that might come in, and I am there to basically course correct on what is the best for the growth of the team, of like each specific individual, and the making sure that the orders that we do with our clients are profitable. So it is quite a big sort of job when you're trying to form it like in some sentences, but mainly I'm just trying to course correct in the best way and trying to approve the best decisions, that the highest one in the area of 3D characters subdivision. But other than that, all of the main work, of course, is done by the team managers that I help out with managing some specific teams, the art producers who manage specific projects, so I also help out to them. And as for the difference with JSC, basically, if when I worked on Stalker, we had uh, basically one team that do different stuff but all for the same goal of creating one product. But here in Roommate, I, instead of working on one project, I am trying to work with capacity of our team to be effective enough to do multiple projects at once, and also making sure when we might have like not enough projects for some people, that the people that are free are doing the most important stuff like portfolios, when they're available. Yeah, and looking for some by the way, I didn't also mention one more important position that helps me out. Those are business developers who actually search for clients and negotiate like the biggest parts of our orders and help out with agreements. So as you see, there it's a like a whole complex system. But as it is said in my position, I'm the director, so I am basically approving of some of specific decisions and course correcting to make sure that the team itself is growing in a correct pace and contributing to the other subdivisions in a big roommate group. Just an interesting trivia. I'm working in Roommate Studio, but it's actually a part of Roommate Group, who also makes, who also has some other companies who handle QA testing, programming of AAA or mobile kind of projects. So the our company is growing quite a lot and it's quite exciting. So, but basically, I'm kind of in charge of 3D characters team specifically.
Okay. And at Room 8, what games have you worked on? Because obviously, Room 8 has worked on a lot of games. Which ones have you
Yeah.
specifically been part of?
So as I said, I joined only last year, and the projects that we work on naturally do take quite a long time. So, unfortunately, the stuff that I'm working on now that isn't released yet, I wish to talk about, but I can't. And as for the released projects already, they just happen to be finished by the time when I joined the team. So that kind of makes me in this tough situation where I work on a lot of cool stuff that I can't talk about yet, but the stuff that already I can talk about was done by my team, but not with me on board. As for the stuff that I did work on, let me think. So Dead Space recently came out, and we did quite a lot of cool work over there.
Okay,
Yes.
what work did you do on Dead Space? Because I bought that. Because I remember playing the original Dead Space. I love that game.
Although I did have like some experience just with modeling in general. I wasn't like a part which actually created the product, since those are artists and I'm just the manager. So I communicated with the client just on how to approach the conditions of our terms, basically. So as much as I wish to talk about art parts of the project, unfortunately I can't, just because I'm not like an art lead, you know. So uh, I'm also thinking for some time that it just so happens that although project management was kind of my own decision on selecting my profession, I'm definitely more of an art person, kinda. That's why when I'm working specifically on with numbers, with spreadsheets, and with communicating with clients, it definitely doesn't sound as exciting as creating some specific part of like art part of the game. But the good part is, I guess, is that I often just in touch with many of industry professionals, and they are also quite excited about the quality that we provide. So it definitely makes me proud. But when it comes to just specifically what I did in this project, I guess the part of it. But other than that, I guess that's pretty much it.
Okay, fair enough. And in Poland right now, do you work remote or office based? And how has that changed since the war started?
So just so happens that Roommate Studio mostly works remotely. As far as I know, we moved to working mostly remotely for most amount of specialists in time of coronavirus pandemic, and it seems to be going well so far, and that's why both me and many artists and many managers that we have on board work remotely, um, other than working in co-working sometimes. We have an office in Warsaw that I visit sometimes. It's quite a comfy space, let's say, but naturally there are benefits of working from home, so I'm kind of more into that for now.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I work from home, and it's definitely a lot better overall. The benefits, like for you, what are the main attractions of working at home versus working in the office?
Um, So I definitely may say that for me it seems quite temporary to enjoy work remotely, because I remember some time ago when I just haven't had, well, like when I started my career, I haven't had much experience with working in an office, and it took me like 1 year to work remotely in sort of like startup kind of thing, when I felt like it is not enough, and like I want to work with office to get this atmosphere and to be close to your colleagues. So in these terms, I really believe the working in office is sort of um, is definitely a thing I'm looking for. It's just since roommate specifically has so many people in so many different countries, I'm just coming to office and understand that there are maybe like two people that I work with directly that I may interact with, but mostly I'm still bound to video calls, so it's not much help. And in JC, I mostly work in office, and I definitely was the kind of work, the kind of job that I was always dreaming of. I definitely kind of miss this, and I guess even I'm not sure. Like I don't have many details, but I guess for JC, it's also kind of hybrid solution at the moment because many of the artists stayed in Ukraine, and we gotta have video calls with them. Maybe they reopened the office. Like I don't know about that, but currently. As for the benefits of working from home, I believe close to your family as much as possible, especially in these troubled times. It just it's definitely good to be um, close to family, you know, in such troubled times. Other than that, trying to work on my own schedule and make and not having like at least an hour of traveling time that you would need to go to office is good benefit of working from home. But the drawbacks kind of get worse every month when you're feeling like your home is your job and you
Hmm.
can't escape it. Definitely not a fan of that. So at some point, I'm gonna change it. But overall, I'm doing quite well on having a job from home so far.
Okay, that's good. And how has the war affected development at Roommate, and how has Roommate handled it? Like, what things has it really just knocked it about with, and what things has just stayed the same at Roommate?
So our specialists are very talented and very hardworking. That's why when it came to what affected our regular work is just the fact that many of our artists had to come in terms with the fact that at least half of their days might be a power outage, so they can't do much. For some of them, we provided laptops, but there were also some difficulties in some areas for with delivery, and it also we had to reconsider the budget. So we couldn't provide all of our teammates that solved these problems on their own while we were like trying to help out others. So some people bought solar panels. Some people needed like not a laptop but could have power generators. So we helped financially where we could at that as well. But mainly, many of our teammates decided to work overtime, like at night or whenever the light is on, to get their stuff finished and make sure we meet the deadlines. And so just the motivation of our artist were, was the driving factor, I believe, of our quite successful run in the end of last year. Speaking of the clients all over the world also understand our conditions, and many of them were really understanding and tried to help out as much as they can as well, and were easy in deadlines as well whenever possible. So basically it all came down to the personal communication both with the specialists and with the clients to make sure we balance this out. But it also means that it is more work for managers. So me and my team of managers also had to overtime quite a bunch just to meet all of the possible solutions to the problems that we had on hand.
Okay. And do you know anyone that's been drafted?
I do. There is definitely two people in my team who are still in on the front lines. It's said that some people that I know in roommate that I haven't had a work relationship with because they're from the other teams, but unfortunately passed away because of the war. And Other than that, I definitely know some people, and considering that some of them did select to go to the army just by their decision, but some of them were drafted because that's how it works. And I believe they, as far as I know, they are required to serve only like for 1 year. So hopefully in March we may have some people see come back, but we'll see how it goes. It just so happens that both the our studio that like helps Ukraine's economy and the stuff on front lines both kind of value at least the same, if we're not saying that the stuff on the front lines is much more important. It all comes together, and it's just happy news that all of our Ukrainians, after the war has started, many kind of, even if they were had some kind of pro-Russian views before, many understood and many understand now how important our homeland is to us, and that there is no other place like home. So I'm quite confident about everyone's decisions, and that's why whenever like as soon as the war started, and even if like after that, some people asked to to go to the army, we like didn't affect their decisions in any way. We understand them and try to change the plans that we have on hand to make sure that the people pursue what they think is most meaningful.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
But obviously, it is a difficult time when you are drafted, and like you're saying. Okay, so you were saying that they're only doing it mandatory for a year. So so is Ukraine's government saying that after a year you can choose to leave the army? Is that correct then? Once you've been in there.
It does sound correct, and it's just the basic procedure that we followed in peaceful times. I'm, you know, I have belief that there shouldn't be like any problem. So I have one of my friends also drafted specifically like in these terms, meaning like my friend didn't plan on going to the army himself. It's just he was drafted because of the system, and he plans on returning back to the society in March. So it would be a good interesting, nice example of how it goes. But I don't believe there would be any chance to for Ukrainian government to kind of like change the rules last minute or something, because there are a lot of movements currently in the government and in the army to kind of make sure we are as humane as possible in our system, with a balance of course in like strategic sense, because naturally many Ukrainian systems were kind of a legacy of Soviet Union systems, and it is very visible actually from the war that has started in 2014, that there were many changes in our government and in our army to make sure we are kind of trying to thinking it through for real, instead of just following the same systems that just everyone got used to, we are trying to. I mean, at least that's the feeling I'm getting from seeing the news and talking with some of my friends that. Many of the stuff in the systems that we have so far, our government tries to like come back to people and being reasonable enough with the terms in the army or like in any other law related stuff. So the country is definitely changing, and it does seem for the best. So I don't have a reasons to believe that something worse will happen, and like some of our friends who served 1 year wouldn't be able to escape it. I'm quite confident they will.
Okay, hopefully that's the case because a year is coming up for many people, so we'll see. What
Definitely.
happens then, and it'll be I guess depending on the progress of the war as well. So I guess the Ukrainian government's hoping that the war will be in a better position where they can say, okay, we can release a bunch of people. And have they said once somebody served a year, will they, as a male, be able to leave the country? Because right now, men can't really leave the country. Will they be able to have some sort of special freedom for leaving, or will it be you don't have to fight on the front lines, but you have to stay around just in case?
Uh, that's quite a good question, and I definitely don't have an answer for it. I'm feeling like it's more likely they will not be able to leave, but also I know quite a bunch of people who have um, law uh, lawful reasons to be able to leave the country. So, for example, people with many children or with disabled wife or something like that. I uh, I hear that they are able to go through borders successfully. There shouldn't be any problems with that, but I don't know about like if it's good enough if they served 1 year. I guess by the logic they shouldn't be able to because Ukraine still wants to have people in reserves, but
Just in case, yes.
just in case.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Sure.
So, Roommate, it's a Ukrainian company. Is it a big deal in Ukraine? Like, is it one of those companies that just everyone knows about in Ukraine?
Hard to tell, to be honest. So, for if we are going to take GSC as an example, I guess maybe at least a half of people that you may ask on the street if they know what stalker is, they might say that yes.
Okay.
If you ask them, do you know what GSC is, they might not know because I guess it's not as easy as just remembering stalker.
Yes, of course not.
And as I think it's kind of similar reason why it is a low chance that like many people in Ukraine know roommate. Basically, the people who are into these industries, they might know, but I guess it is sort of also more interesting that roommate might be more frequent to be known outside of Ukraine, just because we have lots of partners in game industry know that Roommate is one of the best outsourcing companies. So there is a higher chance to get it in like abroad to for people to know about Roommate. But I don't believe there are many Ukrainians who do. We definitely ended up in some lists of like most successful IT companies in Ukraine or like game development companies. We are like in top five around that. But naturally, I'm pretty sure that other companies that are in top five also might not be known by Ukrainians. One of the reasons is that just the IT sector in Ukraine is very powerful, but I don't believe it's like very popular. You still have a lot of people. I mean, the majority of people are still might be too old or too young to be well versed in what's going on in IT world in Ukraine. But other than that, I guess it's a good thing to know that roommate is known outside of Ukraine quite well.
Yeah, I mean it is, especially their games as well.
Yeah.
So and so, what technologies, development, and project management techniques does Room 8 use that you see and you feel like really gives them the edge?
Uh, don't want to brag too much about it, but
Go
I'm
for it.
quite
Brag all you want.
yeah. It's
That's the sort of
just
stuff we want to hear.
there is a lot of useful stuff that we've got coming from many of our specialists. The new approaches, technologies that we use. But for me, most of the stuff, I mean, the stuff that I mean, new approaches and stuff are sort of like details. I didn't see much, general changes in like pipelines or ways to organize and manage. Basically we use like all of the industry standards, like Atlassian products like Jira or like Slack. We made quite a bunch of various ways um, to make our job easier in spreadsheets. But other than that, there are a lot of also, like, I just might not know many cool stuff that just goes like in parallel with me. But like in other departments of the company. But I use my skills in web development a lot, because, and like, I'm just quite a good enough programmer for this, and that's why I'm seeing quite a lot of new solutions that might have not been seen by regular project managers, because usually you just go through some course about project management, and it's good enough to understand what you should do. But since I'm a programmer, instead of looking at some app to use and understand that's the limit, like I can't go, like I can't make a new feature. I'm actually the one person that does uh, think that, hey, I'm gonna just make a new feature that is comfortable for me because I need it, and that's why I use it for quite a lot. Um, in Google spreadsheets that we use mostly, there is a really cool app script sort of module where you can write your own functions with JavaScript, and I used it a lot. And these are basically the best approaches that I may, suggest to any project managers that might be um, looking into this profession or working in this profession more. If you are looking for some um, additional boost to improve your skills, I think learning programming is just extremely useful skill. My my sister was recently looking for like a profession, since she finished her school, and the first thing I said to her is that you gotta learn programming. It's gonna be useful wherever you're gonna be. Like, even if so, like at some point she wanted to go into some medical industry, some like to be a doctor or something, and even there, I said that, hey, even there, I'm pretty sure that programming will come in handy somewhere, and that's why that's like a lot that I used in GSC and Roommate, and my colleagues are quite happy about it because it basically like I just try to make automated everything that I can, and it naturally makes the some tedious automatic kind of stuff much easier for my colleagues that I create these features for, as well as I create this myself. So I guess just as a little example, so we are using for future planning just the basic spreadsheets where every where you have a list of artists and a list of list of artists in the first row, and the dates in every column, and where we just write into the cell what do we plan this artist to work on. And the thing is, to just the fact that this whole spreadsheet is very complex when you are working with a team of like 50 people and the plans of months ahead. It is very difficult to comprehend, and you gotta make some additional spreadsheets just to define what is the team for this project specifically. And you wanna count the fact that we have vacations, count the fact that we want the leading activities that take some time. There's a lot of complex stuff here, and that's why I did my best to make a script that kind of analyzes all of the stuff that we put there, and returns some useful specific information on demand. Like, I want to look at specifically this team, and I want to make sure that there are no vacations that I didn't think of, because like I gotta have a replacement for this vacation. So before, it was very difficult to work with multiple spreadsheets that are all gotta be synchronized, but it is very difficult to synchronize all of them. And basically, I made it possible for a script to do this kind of monkey job, and it really helps out, and lets my managers to use their time more effectively on some more urgent matters.
Okay, yeah, definitely good advice. So you was CEO of a company called A Little Bit Different Arts Corp. Tell us about that.
So this is basically where my journey started. I was by the end of school, I was very, very inspired by the game The Last of Us, and I also was going into this Brony fandom, and I was very, very inspired by what this fandom produced, because there is a ton amount of artworks, the fan fiction, uh, the games that people also produce just by themselves, and I kind of wanted to sort of be a part of it. And I also understood that there is one idea that wasn't explored yet, and I like didn't know why. And that's when that's the way I usually think about it. When I see something and I see the opportunity, and I'm kind of want to see it in the world myself. If no one gonna do it, I kind of plan myself to do it, and that's why I started right from then to learn about game development, and I had an idea in mind of the game that I want to create, and it came out in the project called Ambient. It is a game about two sisters, two ponies, who are going through some emotional adventure in their fantastical world. And in terms of game genre, it was very close to just 3D adventure with sort of the qualities that you might expect from. Well, I guess The Last of Us might be a good example. Naturally, we are talking about sort of cartoony characters, so maybe Last of Us is not the perfect reference. But for me, just captured the feel and atmosphere I wanted to also add. I was very into, and I actually am right now. I'm very into the stories that have kind of innocent characters in as main characters, but that tell very adult emotional story, and that's the stuff that I wanted to make with this project. And since this was like the first first steps in my path to game development, I made a huge amount of mistakes, and I also so this is basically what this company is about. A little bit different. It's basically this team who was working on this project. I started it by myself, but I recently, in that time, a lot of people wanted to volunteer to help me out on this project. So this was also kind of my first project management experience, when I didn't even think much about the fact that project manager is just completely different, profession that has its own, good practices that I got to take account of. I just thought that, hey, my goal here is to make a game, and I didn't think much about organizing the process. I just asked people, to make some specific assets for me, but I encountered just some basic problems with team building, with just making sure that everyone has enough, rights in terms of the documents that they have access to, the information that they are presented. I found out a lot about, just emotional part of managing a team, and it definitely was my like very important goal to get this project finalized. But the fact that I has gone through so many changes in my life while I was doing it, and I learned so much, I just came to a realization that the ambitions that helped me to create, a demo with like all of the needed functions. I mean, not even, I guess, vertical slice, just a demo. um, it it was enough. I mean, my ambitions was enough for it, but for making it a full product with a full story and stuff, uh, it definitely needed more, just funds than just having volunteers and me with, sort of as a student to work on it. So that's why I froze this project, and I decided to come back to it as soon as I make sure to secure the funding. And meanwhile, I was on background. I was looking into more opportunities to optimize the production, and to sort of grab the ideas that sound like they can be realized within reasonable time frames and a reasonable budget that I have on hand. Other than that, like for to achieve good enough quality, often in game industry, if we're not talking about some um, 2D platformers or like very, basic pixel art kind of style. If we are talking about some 3D adventure storyline kind of game, most likely it's gonna need some reasonable budget, and that's what I realized at some point. And I definitely am trying to help out any developer that I know to not make the same mistakes that I have. But the good news is that although I had this tough experience and the project isn't released yet, I had made a lot of friends, and I had made a lot of great skills. So I started this project before college, and eventually I came to a Canadian college called Fanshawe, where I learned game development. And there, considering I had so much experience before, I also was teaching a little my the other students that were studying with me. And right now I have a very close connection with many of my colleagues, with the artists, with the managers, and with the other departments, because I know the pipelines quite well, and I've been a part of whole this process, and I've worked on like modeling and art and game design documents myself, so I understand this whole procedures very well, and that helps a lot in what I do.
Okay. What's your favorite thing about working in the gaming industry?
Favorite thing, right?
Yes.
Oh, it's just definitely the fact that we can create worlds. It's such an amazing feeling, and it's sort of very humble, I guess, because we talk so much about simulation. I mean, like we like even like Elon Musk and many other people brought up just the question of if we are in simulation and stuff, and many people just talk about it in sort of way how they know Matrix, the movie, but when you're actually know how the games are made, and you know all of the like rule sets, all of the production that needs to be done to create all of it, and when get so much stuff done separately and just get it all together, and get the character, get the environment, get the animations, and you get it all together, understand that this is literally the whole world you created. This is the stuff that makes me very excited, and um, it was quite natural for me to be very dreamlike in childhood, when a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of time that I was spent imagining, and I had maybe like Legos. We couldn't buy much Lego sets, so I did many different Lego. Like buildings, like lots of different variations, and created a story out of it. It was lots of fun, and just understanding that right now, like I don't have just Lego, I have the full set to create the story that I have in mind. It makes me very excited, and I think that's definitely the best thing I like about game industry.
That's good. Yeah, definitely the gaming industry is unique compared to regular tech.
Oh yeah.
So talking about regular tech, how does Room 8 and GSC salary compare to general tech?
Well, I wish I had more experience to tell, I guess, but I'm quite limited here. It's not like I had so many years of experience in various companies, so I guess I can't answer that one.
Okay, fair enough. And how's the salary between Room 8 and GSC? Are they pretty similar, or does one pay more than the other?
Oof, it's quite similar. Yeah, can tell much of that. It's very small variation, and it all depends a lot on the position, and it's just the fact that roommate is outsourced, and GC is a product company. There is just a lot of variation in how things are done. As for like, I guess I may just tell about my position. I don't see much variation, but as for artists, I definitely can't tell because I don't have much access to it. Well, at least I didn't.
Okay. So that's most of my questions done. I've got some fun generic questions now that are
All right.
always nice to wrap the podcast up with. So obviously you started your own company, you're doing work on your own thing, and then you're working within a company like Roommate and then GSC as well before that. So would you rather run a 10-person company or a 1,000-person company, and why?
I'm not sure I got that. 10-person company or 1-person company?
No, no, 10-person or 1,000 person company. Which company would you rather run? A 10-person or a 1,000 person?
Ah, I see. Mm, uh, I guess if if I can tell something other than yes and no, maybe I would limit the amount of people in the company till something like 100. I think 100 is a limit because when it's more than that, the processes are extremely long and tedious, and I feel like from the stuff that I have in mind, it is possible to do that with like much smaller team. uh, so, and like if I were to select between these two particular options, I guess I would rather take a 10-person company, as long as it wouldn't affect too much just my financial capabilities.
Okay. So would you rather have 5 million? I'm going to do it in US dollars.
All right.
Would you rather have 5 million upfront or half a million a year for the rest of your life, and why?
Half a year for the rest of my life. Um, wait, is it a million and half a million?
No, no, 5 million US
Ah,
dollars
okay.
upfront, or half a million, so 500,000 US dollars a year for the rest of your life. Which
I
one and
guess
why?
I guess if I were to tell answer this like 5 years ago or something, I would take the 5 million. But considering I'm entering my age where I want to make sure the stuff is stable enough for me to have a family, I definitely would take the guaranteed half a million every year.
Okay, fair enough. And favorite board game?
Let me think. I've played a bunch. Considering I don't have many friends in Warsaw, it's kind of a shame I don't have many opportunities to play. So I remember, I think the one that kind of captured my interest the most at the time was Hearthstone, and I actually it was very fun to make like a my variation of Hearthstone with like lots of jokes and such within my community. So I think that that one is the game I remember most warmly.
Okay, fair enough. And favorite video game?
Uh, Let me think. That one is tough because there were quite a lot of very cool games that came out. I wish to tell that it is The Last of Us, but there are two ifs, I guess. Because first of all, I'm not a fan of The Last of Us 2. I really didn't like where the story has been going. I guess just a little trivia. I liked The Last of Us 2 until the last part of the game, where I guess I can say Ellie came back, because I thought that, hey, this is too far, and I didn't like the ending. And I'm actually a little like I'm feeling like a hipster about the new TV series, because I'm like looking at how much hype is around it, and I'm like, hey, this is literally game which was almost like a movie or a TV series, and it didn't feel like there is a lot of hype, when it came out like now is. So I'm just having hard feelings about it. So let me say just that I guess the game that made me the most inspired in my life is The Last of Us, the first one, and that's for maybe something. Uh, I guess I might also mention just Assassin's Creed. I'm not a big fan of the later ones, but it is also quite a special, important franchise to me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying the Last of Us TV show. Are you not enjoying it, or you just don't?
I'm a big fan of the gameplay, and I actually just played it for the gameplay, like a lot of stuff, a lot of times after the story. And I love the smoothness of it, the quality, the attention to detail. But I'm just so heartbroken about the story because it didn't feel right.
Okay. And which video game are you looking forward to? Because you're a gamer. There must be
Yeah.
some video game you're looking forward to.
Let me think. There was one that I was quite excited about. Let me think. I think it was some sequel. Not sure. The first thing that comes to mind is I would like to see how the Hogwarts Legacy gonna turn out. Um, yeah, I guess that's the only one I remember to be. I mean, other than that, Stalker 2, I was very excited about. I think that's it.
Yeah, Hogwarts Legacy. Well, it's coming out. It came out today, the deluxe edition. My wife's
Mm,
really pumped for that. Her copy is coming tomorrow, the deluxe edition, and the regular edition comes out on Friday. It does look pretty good, to be fair. So I'm definitely going to have a go as well. I'm not as
yeah,
big of a fan as my wife for Harry Potter, but
right.
it looks good. I'm going to say it does look good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really hope the managers over there were not too harsh about the deadlines, because if they decided to have the same situation that ended up with the Cyberpunk, I'm really sad about that. And unfortunately, I don't have the latest PlayStation. Mine is the fourth one, and it's a little also kind of sad that I can't get it on the PlayStation 4.
No, I think you can get Hogwarts Legacy on PS4.
I think it should come out like in April or something like that.
Oh,
PlayStation 4.
is there a delay? Is it not coming out straight away?
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why I was very skeptical to the quality of it, because yeah. Oh, speaking of, like, I played Horizon, the new one, Forbidden West, and I definitely am excited about the next one. It turned out much better than I expected.
Yeah, I need to play Horizon 2. I started it on man a couple of hours into it. I need to get back to playing it. I'm in the middle of playing Dead Space. I've
Nice.
restarted Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order because
Ooh,
Jedi Survivor's coming out.
that was the one that I was thinking about. I'm really excited about the new one.
Yeah, Jedi Survivor. It's a shame
Yeah.
they delayed it, but it's only a month, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, they are working on the top of already like well done engine stuff. So I think the second one should turn out awesome.
Yeah, I think the second one, I'm hoping, and I've got hope that it will overall be on a higher level than the first one.
Right, right.
Yeah. So, next question: does money buy you happiness, and why?
Hmm. I think the most appropriate answer is it depends on the type of person. Basically, if you know what to do with this money, yeah, it may give you happiness, but it still would be forged by your own hands. Uh, but as a general answer, I guess I can say no, because it's not about the money. I mean, it depends on different people, but I'm pretty sure the people who are just, thinking and telling that I'm just having money and, like, having always like enough of whatever you want would make me happy. I guess it may, but quite temporary, because if you don't have some higher aspirations, it definitely might as well be the end of your life, this money.
Okay. And what does a good life mean to you?
Good life to me means a family that loves you, being proud for what you've done with your family and how you've spent your life, pretty much.
Simple, but true. Those are definitely
Yeah.
very, very important
I
things.
pursuing your dreams, but I guess that might be covered by just being proud of what you do.
Yeah.
Sometimes, unfortunately, dreams might come in your way of doing the right thing,
Mm.
and I think people may be. I kind of would bet that people in the end would remember something that they sacrificed and tell that was worth it.
Yeah, for sure. And final question: what advice would you give as a project manager, especially to someone that's looking to follow in your footsteps? Do something similar because you worked for two big gaming companies, and both times you've been some sort of in a managerial role from the start. What
Mhm.
advice would you give?
Let me think. Uh, Yeah, for everyone the path is quite different. But if I were to suggest something very like related to how I did my stuff, basically, oh, here we go. I think this one might be very useful. When you're thinking of going into some profession or learning something new, uh, I I would suggest, instead of having a goal of learning something new, selecting a goal of I want to make this. And for me, it was I want to make the stuff that I have in my hand, I have in my head about like specific game, and I want to make just this game. When you just select a goal of learning something, I believe that most times it is extremely unuseful, because this goal wouldn't keep you going for long enough. When you encounter like many difficulties in learning something new, you would feel like you're not doing a good job, and you would not be able to understand if you're doing a good job more or less objectively. But when you select a plan, for example, but it can be used for many different things. But if I were to have an example of learning a language, I would suggest, instead of having a goal of learning a language, I would suggest planning on a trip, or to some specific country where this language is used, or some finding a job there, or finding a friend there, or if we're talking about project management, if you wanna learn how to organize things, just find something to organize. Basically, like it's not up it's the stuff that you might read in the internet, for example, about like different systems of like practices in project management. It wouldn't help you a lot, because I mean, I don't think it would help you at all, because you wouldn't have enough context to understand what to do with it, and you also wouldn't be able to do anything with it because you don't have a project yet. So find something you want to create, or find something that your friends want to create, and just help out with organizing that. And when you'll be encountering just the questions of what is the best approach to organize like this part or do this part, this is the place where it is a good time to use Google and trying to find some good practices to use. Just having uh, just going to some courses or school also definitely is a good approach. But I think the most effective one is selecting your goal, other than learning, just goal of what you want to do this with these skills.
Definitely good advice. So that's it for all my questions. Really appreciate you coming on the podcast, and it's been a great one. Discussed a lot of great topics. And
Great.
is there any closing comments that you want to make before we wrap up?
Hmm, let me think. I had this good thing in mind. Uh, Basically, I just hope everyone pursues their dreams, which are not related to violence. And I think um, this is this is the most important thing: is not to earn money, but just to pursue what you think is meaningful and being honest to yourself. So hope everyone who listens to this podcast gets much better at what they do, and find what gives them meaning if they didn't yet.
For sure, definitely. Okay, so thank you, Alexander, for coming onto the podcast. Really appreciate it. It was a great one. And everyone listening, hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. Stay tuned for next week's episode of FireDEV with great industry employees. And if you like the podcast, subscribe to it on your chosen platform: Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever it is. Give it a 5-star rating, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thanks a lot.